is Friday night, the end of a long month, and I'm John Dutton, and this is Spelled Ink. I am so glad we are here. It's going to be a good night. I'm just going to go to the chat, and we're going to start from chat. So let's see. Robert Fleming, unmute yourself and take it away.
I'm a writer from Lewis, Delaware. I'm going to start with a poem I just wrote to a prompt tonight called, the prompt was, As Things Grow in Fast Movies. And it's from the movie The Great Gatsby. 27,740 days. As things grow out of movies, a fetus grows in 6 months when mom runs 10 miles per hour. Dark moves double light. Doubt it? In the dark, things don't move. The blob blobs faster than you run in the Blob 8 Cleveland. What moves faster, movies or non-movies? Turn on and off the theater lights, find out. Care about speed? No, just waiting to grow? So tired of slow and shrinking. Go fast and grow. Fast and Furious movie is close, but Fast and Grow non-movie is the speed you want to go. That was my first one. That was from attending a workshop by Grub Street, which is a writing center out of Boston, Massachusetts. The second one is a series of one-line poems called Mono Stitches. No epidural, the birth canal is the Thorn box. Any raccoon can break a garbage can knob lock. Every human stem is thornless. First karaoke song singing turns the singer to a status bowl. And my second poem, with more than one line, was an acrostic poem. It's called Stallion Price for Dragon Slay. My spine, not a seat. Get off my back. Tail too short to swat human off. 3 sugar cubes insufficient for murder. Coral horses neigh. Dragon killer. A knight doesn't care about a horse's reputation. No mare stallions me. Knight must reclaim dragon gold. Let the dragon keep their gold. A mare is gold, not a maiden. All for a maiden. Nay, the sleigh, return to unbridled fields. And that's it.
There we go. First one's called Infinite Sparks. 1. It's a series of vignettes. 1. Fresh sawn logs scattered about, center dead, waiting for the next big storm, ready to stretch across the green, a giant crashing come. We wander loose, unaware, recognize when we are touched, mistake freedom for anarchy, ignorance, magic meaning we are mesmerized, lost our wallet and too many memories. 2. She came back when the wind changed. I could no longer smell the wood smoke, slipped into my kitchen, asked if she would share a cup of brew. Shadows of memory slid across her. I could feel my moorings shift with the tide. Some things never achieve closure. Eternity always felt like too small a yard when we started playing. 3. A garden is nothing more than showing a selection of nature's best without the clutter, her experiments. She asked me to kiss her finger. I see a thorn's prick drop of blood. I hold her hand, a quivering bird, touch the finger with my lips, wait for the wind, the change the tide brings, see if we are bigger than fear, the burning, a brush fire. Now, let me go back to get to the next one. Writers worships. A writer worships. The night shimmers in shadows. Sundown only begins in discovery of quiet, the cacophony of birds, the winged wizards' song score an ending as the scattering of shadows merge, steel colors shift into moonlight, hazy grays, the long dresses of starlight gowns. Most seek a settling that allows silence transformation into sleep, dreams, and the miracle of restoration. Breathing deeply, allowing a focus so a glimmer can blossom to flame, and the flame consume a life. The wonders that only occur when nothing can disturb a solitary journey that forms a letter at a time. Once past the midnight hour, the rhythms of a night are secure. The emptiness of conversations no longer distract the revelry in search of joys sodden in alcohol passed out. The hours before dawn become a canvas. Poetry is allowed to be heard as it awakens, fragile essence searching for the cloak of a language before any can shout out disappointment or dissent. And then, last but not least, a simple title, Cool. Some people will die of cool before they've even felt anything. Anyway, cool. He took pride in never leaving a mark. He understood how touch left indelible marks, teased the senses by walking along the edges, knew when it was time to open the gates, take a long dive off the cliff. He could not understand what she was asking. Do you ever let go? What do you want for yourself? The next night, he prepared everything, a meal to die for, cooked by his hands, the aromas holding her attention, bringing desire to the forefront, the songs that played in the background, becoming waves of sensual awakening, memories on currents of subliminal passion. The kiss, the caress, after the laughter in the kitchen, filled with playfulness, all staged perfectly. She stopped him. What's in it for you? He couldn't answer. She buttoned back the blouse, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, said goodbye, and closed the door softly behind her. He died a little more, locked the door. End poem.
Okay, Cicada watch. Early May, no locust yet. Can't blame the bad golf. Oh, sorry, let me start this over. Early May, no locust yet. Can't blame the bad golf lie on cicada ooze. Chords of soft jazz play over the small speakers, muted by the day-long serenade of red-eyed lovers. Red-eyed lovers pass the night in shared silence. With the rising of morning heat, when the air hangs heavy, they gather wings to fan the air in a song 17 years in the making. What attracts the females of the species? Glossy gossamer wings, shiny black torso, beady red eyes. On the surface, they all look the same. Love must look beneath the bug. SCB, cream of summer crop seeks fertile female, enjoys singing in trees, outdoor song fests, hanging out in large crowds, looking forward to a brief romantic encounter, long-term relationships not physically possible. All red-eyed beauties apply post-haste.
Thank you. Okay, this is Vixen. I hear her wail in the night like a child, shivering echoes across Cloak Creek, call rising through waning oak limbs, white moon cast in yellow eyes that peer through rusty thickets of viburnum, her ruff disguised. Throaty cries mimic frog, heron, the neighbor's toddler. From ravine to hedge to creek to woods, on slender black legs she trots, at home in shadow, protective underbrush. Soon her kit's yelps will punctuate the night, whines for berries and moles. Soon she will hunt for the little ones, carry in her V-shaped snout slumped bodies of mouse and vole. Soon I will hear the little ones call in the night, glimpse their yellow eyes in the budding underbrush. Thank you.
There's crickets in space. Outside, where no one can hear you sneeze, each chirp its own private symphony remains in motion, floating in a sea of firefly stars in this ever-expanding summer backyard. And my next poem, John, this is one of the ones I sent you. This is based off of a true story. I had a friend in college that when we were home for the summers, we used to go like hang out after work. We'd go to a bodega and buy beer illegally and sit at the loading dock and just drink it and then just drive around and try to be bad, you know? But we had no idea how to be bad. We were good kids. And one day someone told him that if you smoked oregano, it would give you a similar high to smoking other substances. This is what happened. This is cheap thrills. He stood leaning against the wall, beer and pretzels and all, as I got back, and it's all, did you get it? And great, man, how much? It wasn't much. Between 80 ounces of malt liquor and 2 bags of sourdough, gas station cigars, and rolling paper, we were half out of coin and missing a vital ingredient for a night of hedonism. We loitered out by the docks, the loading docks, all mysterious and out for trouble or a little privacy, vacillating between standing menacingly on work-worn feet and sitting not so tough on cool concrete among the 1,000 fragments of broken glass. He struggled to roll it, the sticky night air forcing sweat to rain from his face as he nearly breaking his concentration. He rolled it like a freshman, unsure, but determined, and lit up and took one long drag. He held it, I chewed a pretzel to mask the taste of the horrid, warming 40. He was all choking and writhing, doubled over, surprised. Man, he managed, thumping his chest. Those lying jerks. He expected a high, not a burning lung. Instead, I should smoke oregano. I handed him a cigar and lit my own, tossing the bottle and the silver wrapper in the dumpster. Said, "Come on." He stood, recovering. "We've got a few bucks left. Let's shoot some pool." We left. We left everything the way we found it and barreled off in his dented car. Two good kids in a bad neighborhood looking for the kind of fun they can afford.
That is awesome, Nick. That is awesome. What a story.
Thank you.
And we all can picture this happening. We all can picture this happening. That was
Better
fantastic.
than smoking toasted banana peels.
Yeah. Oh God!
Oh.
Why would you?
Oh, I love it. Do you have one more, Nick?
Yeah, I'll do the couch one.
All right, sounds good.
Confessions on a couch. This is John's favorite. So I'm not feeling like myself today. I'm not quite sure why, but does that mean I'm feeling like myself since no matter how I'm feeling, I'm still me? So I'm feeling like me. Oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm rambling again, aren't I? I've been feeling under the weather lately. But aren't we always under the weather? I mean, it always rains over. Oh, never mind. It's not important. Sometimes when I get like this, I like to walk around a retail store where I've gotten bad service and a suit and a name tag and annoy customers who stop to ask me stupid questions. Sometimes I record them on my phone. My ringtone for when my mother calls is an old lady's reaction when I answered her question, "Do you sell batteries?" by telling her we indeed do sell batteries, just not to uppity crones like her. Want to hear it? Call me. Oh, never mind. I thought it was funny. It cheered me up for a whole weekend. Sometimes when I feel like no one cares about me and like I'll never make new friends, sometimes when I want to feel like royalty, I'll walk around a car dealership pretending to be in the market for a new car. The salespeople are all so friendly and eager to chat and learn about me as they offer me to test drive a shiny new Mercedes and free refreshments to boot. It's almost like making friends, calling me their pal as I roll around in someone else's caddy. One previous owner, a little old lady, non-smoker, no cats, but quite in need of batteries. I'm rambling again, aren't I? Oh, yes. I'm not feeling that great. These dreams. I've been having the strangest dreams. I dreamt my wife was nagging me to change her light bulb, and there was a thumping pain in my head, and it was dark, so dark I couldn't see the socket and wait. That actually happened. I have the strangest dreams still. I dream I'm eating and I'm chewing and I'm chewing, and the food makes me so thirsty, and I'm always so thirsty, and I wake up unsatisfied with a dry mouth and a face in a pool full of drool. My wife says I talk in my sleep. Is that normal? She says I chew in my sleep too, and I argue with myself, and sometimes I sing. Is that normal? I don't know. I sure could use some help. Thanks for hearing me out. Oh no, I'm not actually going to buy anything. This couch is just so comfortable.
So this is the other side of a poem that I wrote after attending one of these corporate rah-rahs. It's called Revival. We gathered in the revival tent of a hotel ballroom to hear the testimonies of our leaders, each exhorting us to higher goals and purity of intentions. There were inspirational tapes and catchy music to reinforce the message of our necessary dedication. But it wasn't all salvation and grace, as we were reminded of headlines demonstrating the corporate demon of temptation and greed, leading to the ultimate downfall and ruin. The messages were right and good, and many were inspired anew, and I believed. But like everything I must take on faith, I stood at the back with the not quite converted, hearing messages to different music, synthesizing the words into a poem about unethical seduction in the commerce of romance. Afterwards, filing out, another agnostic asked for a copy of my notes, as though they were detailed directions to salvation. And I don't know why this one just seems appropriate this week. Regret. The past is immutable. You cannot shift world events to open doors closed by history. You cannot grasp the opportunity that never presented itself. You cannot change what you wore on that particular night. You cannot change who drank and who drove. You cannot turn back to stay as if you never left. You cannot accept a lover's return after the emptiness of their absence. And we cannot unsay the words we hurled like stones at each other last night. The contusions will heal, may leave scars, but the blood cannot be unshed or the pain unfelt. Events shape us even as our impact creates the consequence. We are our memories, proof of our existence, yet we continue wishing to live over someone else's life while the memories keep us from forgetting ourselves. That's it.
Thank you, John. This is my first time here in, I don't know how many months, but several months. Anyways, I'm going to do 2 poems for tonight. And to assist me in this endeavor, I'm going to use the share screen feature, if John will let me. Thank you to Dr. Love for that comment in Zoom chat. Let me see if I could try it now. Yeah, the 2 poems I'm about to do tonight come from this new anthology from Canada called Red Skies, a creator's response to 2020. And both are based on actual events. The first one from pages 12 and 13. And this really happened, I kid you not. This is called Apocalyptic Sky. Yesterday had proven science fact, much stranger than fiction. Vivid orange night replaced bright turquoise morning. Sunlight was postponed. Normalcy took a holiday. My neighbor's barnyard animals, 5 chickens, 2 goats, didn't know what was going on with their immediate surroundings. Neither did that lone bird in flight, and neither did I. Confusion's in the air with the strong scent of smoke. I noticed this atmospheric shift on my walk from my little house to the gray recycling bin out front, to the black tin mailbox and back. The white KN95 mask on my face concealed a frown of puzzlement. West Coast ecology had burst into flame between Washington, Oregon, and here. Cali is no stranger to the burning season. One only had to look above into the hellish glow, the apocalyptic sky to know, as wildfires are real, so is climate change. And that first poem was called Apocalyptic Sky, which was about the weirdest, scariest day in the history of the state of California. Wednesday, September 9th, 2020, the day the sky turned deep orange. And that was an end result from all those wildfires that was happening not only in my home state, but in 2 other states above California as well. The entire West Coast was up in flames that week. And the last poem is mercifully short, 1 page. Also from Red Skies, from page 14. This is called Precipice. Read the words carefully and you'll figure out what this is about. Precipice. Gladly say goodbye to the proven nightmare these past 4 years. The precipice on which I stand is crowded with the eager, waiting on cures for both viruses, the one ailing bodies, the one extinguishing love. Smooth transition into another era. Focus of everybody's endogenic wishes, appealing even to my jaded self. When I close my eyes, I hear the popular song of What Now? And that last poem was called Precipice. Both poems appear in the new anthology from Canada called Red Skies, now available from Splintered Disorder Press. From this mic to your ears, I'm D. Allen. Thanks for listening.
This is called the bedroom suite. I didn't know there was a market for antiques until I moved to Virginia. Some of my relatives and parents' friends on Long Island had a piece or two passed down from grandma or mother, and generally nothing large. I suppose in the Black world, there wasn't much to leave anyone. In the house I grew up in, I can only remember an old bowl and pitcher that always sat atop my parents' chest of drawers. My father bought a rocking chair that was already 25 years old for my mother when I was an infant. I have those. I also have my grandmother's lead crystal pieces, including a water pitcher she gave me as a wedding gift. It took a while for me to appreciate it. When she gave it to me, I thought, what? You couldn't go to Macy's, your favorite store, to get me something I could actually use? I also have my parents' bedroom suite. I thought it might be a little odd, maybe even creepy, to talk about that furniture, but I started feeling a sense of comfort and stability as I started writing this. I wasn't even in school yet when we moved from Brooklyn to Long Island in 1956. Please don't try to do the math. My parents had $28 in the bank and not much furniture. A few years later, they bought an expensive cherrywood bedroom suite, a double bed with head and footboard, a chest, dresser, and 2 nightstands. Unfortunately, it wasn't delivered when promised, and the old furniture had already been removed. I don't know the exact dynamics, but my father always sprang out of bed, eager to get to work. On that morning, he forgot there was only this mattress on the floor. When the alarm went off, he slammed his heels against the hardwood floor. It was one of the only 2 days I can recall him not going to work. My mother told me when I was about to do something I wasn't supposed to, I'd ask, Mommy, where are you? Being a housewife, she was usually in the kitchen, which left me free to browse. But of course, she was smarter than me. I loved looking through the dresser with 3 rows of 4 drawers where she kept her things. I was barely tall enough to see into the top drawers. I didn't care about the bras and the panties and the girdles, but I did like the combs and brushes and jewelry. One day I was checking out the top left-hand drawer when a seemingly out-of-place item caught my attention. Why would a container of camera film be in this drawer when there's no camera, I wondered. I popped the top and found flat, rubbery, balloon-looking things inside. Suddenly, my mother snatched it and told me to stay out of the drawers. Naturally, I didn't, but I never again saw that container, and it wasn't until I was a teen that I realized I had discovered her condom stash. The chest of drawers was even more memorable, as I partly related in a previous story. That's where Daddy's things were. I wasn't as interested in its contents, except for those in the 4th drawer down, which held his belts, including the one he used to spank my brother and me. That belt was actually preferable to the skinny one Mommy liked to use. Maybe it wasn't the belt, but its delivery. I remember the 2 or 3 half-hearted whacks, but the most enduring memory was the clank of the handle hitting the solid wood when he opened the drawer to retrieve the belt. Later in life, I realized he purposely forced the sound of metal against the wood as a mind game, so he wouldn't have to deliver as many blows as my mother probably wanted. To give myself a chuckle, I'll occasionally try to get the handle to reproduce that distinct sound, but the decades have taken it away. That furniture moved with my parents to an apartment in Manassas, then to the home we bought together in the early 1980s. It's a Cape Cod with 2 bedrooms down and 2 up. They took the small master on the main level. As I look back at that time we lived together, I think the bed represents a long, painful episode for the family. My mother became very ill, and it's a wonder she lived as many years as she did. Not only did she become sicker, she became even meaner to my father as she did. I always felt she blamed him for everything that was wrong with her life, and now this. He eventually had to quit work to care for her, but before doing so, he was sleeping on the floor in the narrow space between the bed and the wall because she needed the entire bed. It must have been especially difficult for him to rise in the morning and go to his physically hard job. I talked him into sleeping, or trying to sleep, on the sofa in the other bedroom, but it had a very thin mattress supported by a bar running side to side so that you can't get comfortable. If you have one of those or have seen the Seinfeld episode, when Elaine visits Jerry's parents in Florida, you know what I'm talking about. Sometime after Mommy's passing, Bob and I bought Daddy a new mattress, and he started getting the best sleep he'd had in years, in his own room, in his own bed until his death in 2003. My daughter had moved away well before then, so the house was now all mine. Because we had an old oil furnace, heating the house was very expensive, and when the heat stopped reaching the top floor for some reason, I started sleeping in my parents' room. I must admit that the first few nights felt rather odd, like I was invading their space. I kept calling it their room or Daddy's room until I was able to truly grasp that all the rooms in the house were mine, and I could sleep anywhere I wanted. Besides, that arrangement was more convenient for me to quickly get the dogs out in the morning. Many years have passed since I've slept in my official bedroom upstairs, and I no longer think of that furniture as belonging to my parents. Rather, I think of it as a comfort and enduring means of keeping alive memories of them and my childhood. That's it. Thank you.
I just have 2 short ones. My friend, Becca, you inspire me, my sweet friend, in my struggle to walk, bringing me shoes when my feet were swollen, coloring books to keep me occupied, though I would often cry. You were my family when there was none. When I was mad, you found a way to be glad. Unfazed, you fought with me as I tried to accept the new me, broken and weary and longing for peace. And this one is called Music. Music keeps me company when there is none. Some melody soothes my tired soul. Some music leads us to a better place. Listen carefully to songs that touch the heart, that keep you from falling apart. Hear the music, tap the feet, feel the beat, snap your fingers, dance anywhere you please. Music, my friend forever.
Hi, this poem is a found poem from an online article about the cicadas. It is written in haiku triplets. So the first one says, brood eggs are coming, billions of cicadas poised to descend on us. And the second one, cicadas as food? Yes, we can cook and eat them. Thank you, I will pass. And the third one, Thanksgiving is here for your cats and dogs, rats too, a dining frenzy. That's it.
In war, art is a balm. That is spelled BALM. Recently, I saw an ad for a book called She Reads to Us in the Late Afternoon, which reminded me of several World War II accounts I have read during May. So, to remind myself and now you tonight, I'm going to speak a little about that war and some who fought it without ammunition. In the book, The Last Bookstore in London, I read of the destruction of bookstores and libraries during the more than year-long London Blitz. Reading was one way to cope, and libraries and bookstores provided comfort. Finally, there was one bookstore which had been bombed, but with the help of burned out neighbors and friends eager to have books back, they coddled it back together using found materials from broken buildings. More remarkable is that the single woman owner made the shelves available to 3 other bombed out bookstores so that they could continue their businesses as well as possible. This same widow, during the horrible conditions in her nearby bomb shelter, by torch, the British name for flashlight, read out loud her choice of the classics for distraction and for those who could not read. Night after night, she read with dust and damp debris seeping through the overhead structures. One more. London, 1940. In war, art is a bomb. Laura huddled in her wet coat, barely fitting on the bench recently brought to the shelter. The drones of the bombers drowned out the whispers. Yet she struggled to listen to a conversation. A woman sitting on the floor near her was talking about the role of art in wartime. She heard the name Dame Myra Hess and ducked her head down to hear about the National Gallery lunchtime concerts. Art was taken out of this gallery for safekeeping from the possible invasion of Britain. Dame Myra organized the most famous musicians in Britain to come play for the public among all the empty picture frames, just so blacked out London had something beautiful to listen to. I have felt several times during this COVID's 15 months duration as if I were corroding in exile. Mostly alone and trying to occasionally reach out, my comfort has been reading, listening to my classic music records, walking with my wonderful walking friend, and participating in our Arts Council activities, limited but still bravely going on. Last night, the Arts Council presented the annual Kathleen Seafelt Awards program. This was the result of hundreds of hours of arts activities and technical scholarship. It is available now on tape, and I will give John the number so that you can participate in this wonderful, uplifting show. The arts, including our marvelous spilled ink, are such a blessing. And in peace, art is a balm. I would like to finish with this haiku. I've written at least one haiku a day during May to try to honor our poet laureate, Kim Miller, who is the dean of haikus. In 17 succinct syllables, one can express thoughts sometimes better than in stanzas. Backyard barbecues, sharing our somber stories, Memorial Day. In peace, art is a balm.
This is Ursus Maritimus, a draft from Poetry Month. Ursus Maritimus, sea bears, sea ice bears, polar bears, marine mammals like seals, dolphins, whales, the largest bear in the world. Sea ice, their Arctic habitat, their means of travel when on foot, their hunting ground, their resting and mating area. Sometimes where they make dens or snowdrift caves to raise their cubs, 2 at a time. Polar bears spend half their lives hunting, to satisfy their single species diet of seals, ringed and bearded, seal fat required for their livelihood, to fuel the blubber below their black skin for isolation, hidden by transparent hairs that display an illumination in the sun that makes them appear as white, to blend into their snowy environment. Polar bears wait at breathing holes in sea ice, watching for seals to surface. They pounce and bite. I wouldn't want to watch, but the survival of the polar bear species depends on seals. Adept swimmers of the ocean, they paddle front paws and stretch out their hind legs to use as rudders. We are their only predators, and because of us, polar bears are an endangered species, threatened because of climate change and rapid reduction of sea ice, oil, and coal mining intruding on their territory, oil spills dangerous to their coats, preventing them from regulating temperature, deadly if eaten while grooming. Pollution's impact increases at each stage of the food chain as pollutants become more concentrated, and polar bears are at the top of the chain. Baby polar bears are dying for lack of food caused by global warming, melting sea ice. The cryosphere is crying out for help before the polar bears are silenced. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I had the pleasure of hearing Brian Donnell James, who I met listening here. He was reading last night with a group of poets for National Mental Health Awareness Month, and just some powerful poetry. So while I was listening, I was just on that theme of mental health and tried to give it a try myself. So this is Untitled. The struggle is real. Sadness served up fresh each day. Daily doses of the downs. Downward thoughts that descend in the battle against inner peace. Pieces of a man shredded blue. The blues plays on long in his head, long after the sun's silent song has hushed earth to sleep. Sleep is for the weak. Weeks go by, even months over time, and life is stuck on rewind. He downs a bottle of wine to wash away the heavy grime from his mind. The stain and stench of gloom looms overhead like an ominous moon. It's called In Solidarity in honor of May 25th, 1 year since the murder of George Floyd. Remember the anguished, muffled voice bellowing, gasping for air. Beneath beckoning sobs, George Floyd lamented, "I can't breathe." Remember, we watched the thrashing man cease. Body lay limp beneath a knee. Shame couldn't cover quickly. The world held its gaze of blue shields in gray haze, yet we could not turn away. Remember marching, remember crying, remember writing, remember watching again. Remember the silent shock taking root, belly bottomed. Remember blackness rising. disbelief hung her head low, faced the unimaginable at the front door to a nation. Remember, George Floyd's life mattered most to beautiful brown-eyed Gianna. To her, he was a giant of love. Remember, George Floyd's life mattered momentously to a 9-year-old girl watching at the corner as her cousin filmed an unforgettable scene now etched in time, pressed on rewind on the mental reels of folks forever. Remember finding your own way to duel against racism? Some in song, others in rage. Many marched. Artists brushed peace over wounded souls. Poets poured healing onto pages to be read over and over again, to be read over and over again. We remember in solidarity. Thank you.
Okay, I've got three. The first one is called The Final Flight of the Boomers. Listen, this is it. Last chance. What have you learned after all this time? What was and what is in your mind? Night is come. Soon you will be gone. What have you learned? Last chance. Speak now, or you will forever hold your peace. Piece. And the second one is Tanka. This is Tanka 16. The weeping willow laughs in Detroit and Paris. I own ideas. Emotion, beloved mistress, coo thy fetid lullaby. And the final one, my background has to do is a scene taken from the town of Olongapo in the Philippines from 1970. No, the long poem I put in that John put in the chat or whatever, I mean, that John published was called Remembrances of War Pre-Military, about the demonstrations. Well, I decided it's time to go ahead and do the military poem. And it's another very long one about my experiences in the Navy. And, you know, I didn't write it in sequence straight through. And this one is the part 5 called The Lights of Olongapo. Olongapo is in the Philippines, right outside Subic Bay Naval Base. We were a supply ship and we stopped for fruit and vegetable every few weeks. We then brought them and other supplies to ships in the Gulf of Tonkin. According to Wikipedia, at the height of the war, 215 ships a month anchored off Subic, most of which were strictly there to give the sailors shore leave. They estimated over 4 million sailors visited the base in 1 year. To get to Olongapo from the base, you had to cross what was affectionately called Shit River. It was a huge drainage channel. The sailors used to throw coins into the water and the Filipino children would dive after them. The road ahead housed a lot of nightclubs. Many of the bands were quite good. There was lots of San Miguel beer, very young prostitutes, and truly exotic floor shows. One evening we were in port, and due to take shore leave, the trouble was there was a storm. The ship was anchored in the bay, and we had to take a small craft to the dock on the base. The water was tumultuous. The boat was rocking. Everyone was nervous. The NCO knew I had written a song. The name of the song was The Lights of Olongapo. The chorus went like this. The lights of Olongapo are shining tonight. The lights of Olongapo are shining tonight. The lights of Olongapo are shining tonight, and they're shining bright. Most of the verses are lost to antiquity, but they extolled the virtues of Olongapo. I only remember one, the final verse. Excuse me, I am a little bit clear. As we crossed the choppy water, the NCO, sensing that we were on edge, asked me to sing the song. The other sailors joined in on the chorus. We all sang the lights of Olongapo are shining tonight across the lagoon. I did not sing the final verse. Here's the reason. It went something like this. And while we were having all of this fun, I thought about what we had done. Debased the people and taken their pride. I sipped on my beer and then I cried. Oh, the lights of Olongapo are shining tonight. The lights of Olongapo are shining tonight. The lights of Olongapo are shining tonight, and they're shining bright. That's it.
Let me see. The first one, since I mentioned it, here was my Inker's lament for missing our coffee shop. An Inker's lament. I miss your coffee house, the murmur of your voices, the mingling of your patrons, the clanks and clinks of cutlery, the kiss of cup upon saucer. I miss you, coffee house, the inviting glow of your stage lights, the anticipation of whom I'll meet, old friends, old words, new words. I miss you, coffee house. Every table crowded with Inkers, the hush before someone speaks, the exasperations of an exhausted espresso machine, the owner's welcoming smile. I miss you, coffee house. A Friday late in the month, a much needed respite for all. I long to listen to your symphony played in the key of cacophony. These words do not do justice of just how much my heart aches. I miss you, coffee house. And that was, I miss an Inker's lament. And then my other one, I did last month, but there was only 4 of us here, so I'm going to read it again. It's called The Day My Muse Took Me Home. I stood looking out my room's window on the dawn of a dismal day as the deluge pounded the windows and the thunder always had something to say. I twisted my tattered notebook due to a bit of fear and double-checked the dull pencil tucked behind my ear. I wantonly eyed the bottle of Beefeaters on the nightstand with my nightcap sitting silently near my withered, calloused hand. Knowing I, like the yeoman warder on the bottle, will never complete another step. My dreams now dashed of being the next overnight celeb. Oh, how I wished I could take just another sip or sup sunshine on the deck of a cruising ship. My eyes wandered to the buffoon in the corner. He's definitely not one of, hopefully, my many mourners. My muse had fallen asleep over his vintage Smith Corona. He must have been exhausted from all that hot yoga. He woke from a deep slumber and upon seeing my disheveled shape, adjusted his Armani glasses and drew deeply off his sterling vape. He arose from the lone chair in the sterile room and asked, "When did you depart?" I wanted to respond with something crass, but didn't have the heart. As he sat on the bed beside my decrepit form, wishing I passed on the bed of a co-ed's dorm, I answered, I remember Fallon's opening monologue. Did he need the laugh track to gain the crowd's applause? Don't they all? He sent me off with a smile nonetheless. That's a plus on collection day, as you get no last requests. I hate leaving with too many books not read and so many stories still swimming in my head. Well, you'll get to talk with the source on many of them, and where you're going, your pencil will never run out of lead. You know, I want to witness greatness never winded. Blind Melon Jefferson, Aretha Franklin, Bon Scott, and Randy Rhoads, to name a few. I want to sit beside my heroes in an early morning dew. I want to listen to Bradbury as he recites tomorrow, tomorrow, and tomorrow. I want to never grow old as I dance to the bolero. I want Chaucer to whisper me the ending of his Canterbury Tales, and then find a sober Hemingway and discuss our favorite ales. My muse asked, shall we go? There's always a show. I glanced at the nightstand with my widowed drink under the lamp's warm glow, where the stained, crumpled envelope was tucked securely under my outdated cell phone. My scrawl still legible after years of repeating the nightly ritual my nurse grudgingly condoned. For wherever you bury my sorry ass, there will be no tears today. I have 40 hours of music on Spotify, so just hit play. Have it turned up to an 11 and provide plenty of free beer. Make sure you stop and read some poetry and prose filled with cheer. Let's face facts. You'll see me again real soon, but for now, celebrate me with until the next full moon. And you always had a way with words, my muse chortled as we stepped into the corridor. We wandered the antiseptic-laced hallway and strolled out the hospice front door. And that is the night my muse took me home.